notes before I get into anything really meaningful. This is a really big group. So normally I've taught this class before. Normally it's broken into 2 sections. And I'll have like maybe, 50 and 50 or 60 and 40 or something along those lines. But in this group, I have 90 of you beautiful people all at once. So that's going to present a little bit of a, not maybe challenge, but I'm going to have to maybe think through some of our in-class participation pieces, because I do like to try to keep things a little bit fresher than just me doing all of the talking all of the time. Nobody wants that. And so I do have things structured so that you'll be participating in breakout sessions and things that are probably a bit more engaging than just me talking at you. And that might be challenging with so many people in the class, in the group. But I'm giving that consideration, and that will all be sort of forthcoming. So also on that note, I wanted to say, with so many of you and only one of me, I am happy to be available to you to field questions, concerns, all of those things. With the understanding, again, that I'm very much outnumbered. And so if you could first and foremost be resourceful, right? Access the As You Learn class page, access the syllabus, maybe reach out to a classmate if you know someone in the course. If you cannot get the answer figured out on your own, then email me. But I just, I like to be as available as possible, and I try to respond within 24 hours to any emails, but keep those as important as you possibly can. And so I think without further ado, I will just kind of jump into orienting you, if you will, to this class. I am assuming that everyone has accessed the course page on As You Learn, because you found the link to our group meeting. And you will use this same link every class meeting moving forward, right? Go ahead if you have something to write on, or if you're using a planner, and make a note of this. This is an important piece of information for your scheduling purposes. This will be our only synchronous Monday Zoom. I wanted to kick things off, on like the right note and see everyone in person and get you going. But moving forward, with the exception of this week, we will meet on Wednesdays. So there's going to be a bit of a gap. You will not have a class meeting for the rest of this week, nor on Monday. And next week we will meet again on Wednesday. Does everyone understand that? Is that confusing to anyone? Okay, no meeting on Wednesday, no meeting on Monday. We'll pick up on the next week on Wednesday, and moving forward, we will meet every Wednesday from that point in a synchronous format. And so your Monday content is expected to be accessed asynchronously. There is a variety of different types of information posted to the course page. I'm logging in right now so that I can show you. But you'll have readings, videos, things like that to do on your sort of off day, with the expectation that anything is done by the close of the week. So if you have discussions or forum posts to complete, I do not expect you do those between Monday and Wednesday. I expect that you do those between Monday and Sunday. So you have the full week to complete your asynchronous work. And just to give you a visual, so things are a little bit wonky this week, right? Because we're meeting synchronously on Monday and your asynchronous content is posted to Wednesday. I will not do this very often, but I have sort of the introductory lecture to this course. It covers chapter 1 from your textbook. And it is posted for you to watch in video format. And then you have a PowerPoint to review before we come back together. That's it for the rest of this week. Along those lines, does everyone have access to the textbook through As You Learn? Have you tried this link? Provide a source. Thumbs up if it's working for you. I see one person. Anybody else tried it? It's hard for me to see you guys because there are so many. Okay, so I am seeing some thumbs up. If you would be willing to unmute and shout at me if you have had trouble getting into the textbook for the class. Cool. Okay, so I assume everyone's good on that. Just another kind of point about the way things will go. Maybe I can open this and share it with you really quickly. And I'm telling you this, where did it go? Okay. All right. I just want to point out, so the PowerPoints that are posted for you to access are very loosely an outline of the textbook. My expectation for you is that you will download these and go in and make your own notes or create, you know, whatever system works for you. Maybe you use this as an outline and then you do handwritten notes. My point is just there's not enough information in here for you to be successful in the course. And that's done on purpose because I want you to access the information on your own. I've created these again as just a general outline, and it is your responsibility to go in and kind of fill in the gaps. I will always make sure to give you a study guide I mean, I don't really like to say study guide, but you'll have some sense of what's going to be on your tests as we move through the course. But this is kind of where you will find the backbone of the information that you need. And then you can fill in the gaps from the textbook and from our class lecture. Are there any questions so far? Okay, I think that's kind of the biggest, like most important stuff up front. So I'm going to shift gears just a little bit and talk you through who am I would like to find out a little bit about who are you, and then we'll talk about specifics of the class and I will send you on your way. I see. Theron, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Do you have a specific question about the textbook that you wanted to ask? Just kind of catching up on the chat. All right, if you do have a question about the textbook and you want to chat it, or you can speak out, whichever works for you. I'll keep my eyes on that. And in the meantime, I'm going to share my screen here. This is my contact information, and this PowerPoint is posted to today's block on As You Learn. So you have what you need to get in touch with me. A reminder about meeting times. We will not meet again until next week on Wednesday. And I believe that is August 31st. So our next class meeting is August 31st, and then we'll meet every Wednesday moving forward. Okay.
And so the rest we do at our own pace, like just on the stuff that you're posting?
Correct.
Okay.
The rest will be done in an asynchronous format. Yes. At your own pace. Yes. And there's an expectation that like, if there's a discussion for week 2, that you will have that done by Sunday of week 2. Did everyone understand that? Yes. And so you know, you're able to sort of work ahead. I would not recommend working behind, but you can, you know, move forward. The course is structured though, so that the asynchronous stuff that's posted for Monday is closely related to what we'll be talking about in class on Wednesday. So it all kind of goes in a linear format. I wouldn't recommend getting too far ahead because that might be confusing as well. But yes, there is kind of an asynchronous component to this because we'll only be meeting once a week. All right, so contact information, just to point out, my email is my name, it's my maiden name, Nelson JB. For whatever reason, it was too difficult for human resources to get that changed over after I got married. I started out as a student at App, and so I'm giving you just a little bit of introduction to who I am. I did my undergraduate and my master's work at App. My undergraduate was in psychology, and then my master's is in birth through kindergarten. So in the context of family relationships, my focus has always primarily been on early childhood, at least in terms of my education background. The photos here that you see, the children on the duck, those are children from an intergenerational program that I operated for about 10 years. So we were kind of a unique model in that we had childcare 0 to 5-year-olds in a combined space with aging adults and adults with IDD. So our population of adults was 18 and up. I think the widest spread that I saw was a 21-year-old and a 97-year-old all together for care during the day. And these folks all lived at home with primary caregivers at night. So again, kind of in terms of the family context, my work with young children, I expanded to working with older adults and aging adults for about the last 10 years. So I have kind of a wide range and a really kind of unique experience in, you know, working with individuals of all ages and all different abilities. I have a picture of my poodles. I am somehow a poodle person at this point in my life. We have a standard and a toy poodle. There's a picture down below of my family. And then there's a photo of me running. That's kind of my passion project. When I'm not teaching or learning myself. I think I mentioned in my other video that I am also a student. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm finishing my doctoral degree at ETSU and hope to be done in the next couple of years, two years, I think. So when I'm not doing all of those things, I like to run and I like to exercise. I have a few other passions, but that's the one that really gets the photo op, right? And then these are my 2 children. So I recently, it's been almost a year now, left my work as a program administrator to take my children home, and we have been homeschooling for almost a year. So that's been a journey, and we are enjoying it most of the time. But these are my girls on a hike with a co-op that we participate in called Wild and Free, where we meet with a group of people and explore the high country outdoors once a week. Ignore this slide, but I would like to get to know you for just a minute. So I have a quick poll I will launch. I'd like to know kind of where you're at in terms of year of study. And then if your field is human services, like, you know, child development, social work, something along those lines, psychology, or something completely unrelated to those kind of human services fields. I'll give it just a few more minutes, seconds. Looks like things have stabilized. We are almost half of us are freshmen, some sophomores, juniors, and a couple of seniors. And then since the large majority, 65% of you are not in a human services field, I'm curious to know how you landed in a family development course. If you would use the chat feature just to kind of let me know how or why you chose this class as, I assume, an elective. Someone said nursing, specialize in pediatrics. A minor in child development, special ed, elementary ed. Okay, undecided, dietetics. Lots of people interested in education. Someone just thought we seemed interesting. Anthropology, that kind of fits. Business. So here's the thing. It fits for anyone, right? Because we all find ourselves situated inside of a family and or, you know, we'll likely have our own family at some point. So yes, I hope it will be an interesting course for those of you who don't intend to use this maybe in a professional context. And then for a lot of people, I think it will fit nicely with any of those kind of education or, you know, other related fields where you might be working with children and families. We're going to talk about everything from dating to divorce, all the things that might happen in between. We will also spend some time looking at kind of aging issues and how families in later life function and things like that. So there will be quite a range of coverage in terms of topics related to family development. And one thing that I always kind of just want to say with regard to this class is that we will at times be discussing sensitive issues that people may have very strong opinions about. And the expectation, of course, I think it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that you will participate in discussions and engage with your peers in a respectful and you know, we want to be a community of learners that can discuss, you know, difficult or kind of hot topic issues in respectful ways. Classroom decorum. Okay. So I already kind of talked about, you guys can see this now. The PowerPoint, yeah. I talked about sort of what we will be discussing in the course, and I've given you the structure. Whoops, we went backwards. Okay. This is our agreement to conduct ourselves in a way that would create an atmosphere of mutual respect. Course objective, I'm not going to read these to you, but basically what we want to do is compare various forms of marriage, living arrangements, choices with regard to sexuality, relationships, those sorts of things. We're going to look at family interaction patterns and kind of identify what are the different developmental tasks of families and individuals at different points in the family development process. We'll talk about stressors, you know, what are major crises and stressors for families? How do we kind of combat those? How do we work towards resolution of those? And then we will also talk about some sensitive issues like abuse, domestic violence, loss, those kinds of things that might impact relationships and families as well. This is what the textbook looks like. Please send me an email if you find that you are not able to access this through the VitaSource link. You will have a variety of ways to engage in this class, again, in both the synchronous and asynchronous format. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the written reflections in just a minute, but the bulk of your grade, and you probably saw this on the mobile syllabus that I posted or that I emailed you, but the bulk of your grade will come from, there will be 3 tests. So you're going to have kind of there's one at about week 6, then there's basically a midterm and a final. And then you will have participation, in-class participation, and written assignments, written reflections that will comprise your grade for this course. So it's very important that you do well on the tests, as there will only be 3 opportunities, to get scored. And then your written reflections are an important piece of that as well. Attendance and participation is expected on Zoom calls. And I will take just this 1 minute to say, I do not want to have to, and I actually cannot per the university, require you to be, visible on your screen while we're in this format. But I would ask that if you are at all able to turn your cameras on so that we can see one another, it really helps me. I think right now I have about 6 people out of 89 whose faces I'm able to see. So it, to me, looks like I'm speaking into the great abyss of black squares. And if you could help me with that, I would really appreciate it. It just makes Zoom class a little bit less awkward. In terms of attendance on these calls, at some point on the call, and I'm going to offer this to you right now, I will ask you, and I see Anne Lynn has a question about exams. I'll come right back to that. I will ask you to type your first and last name into the chat so that I have a record of who was on the call. That is how I will go back in and score your attendance. So if everyone would take a minute right now and go ahead and type your first and last name, and then I kind of let these pile up a little bit, I'm going to be honest, and then I go in and I backlog, 4 or 5 class sessions. I would like to say that I'll do better about that this semester, but I can pretty much guarantee that I won't. So I'm not going to make any promises that I won't keep, but you should be able to periodically go in and check on your attendance and participation grade. And if you see something that's completely amiss, let me know. Again, I will try to give you this verbal prompt every class period so that folks are reminded to type their name into the chat. Sometimes I do forget, so if anybody wants to flag me down for that, I would also appreciate the help. All right, if everyone has their name typed, we will back up to the question that I saw about exams. Because there are so many of you, and having like a written format exam just is not really feasible. The exams will be posted to the class page through like the Moodle format. They will largely be multiple choice, true, false, and some short answer. But they should be easily accessed, and then your grade should sort of be available to you quickly after you take the test because of the format. Any other questions on exams or anything up to this point? No. Okay. In terms of your attendance, you can miss 2 classes unexcused. It is up to you to communicate with me beyond that. I do recognize that we're living in like a post-pandemic world where things happen and, we're all busy, and life isn't quite as, I feel like people maybe are a bit more flexible than they used to be. And I'm happy to be flexible with you if you have a valid reason why you cannot make it to class. With that said, it's 2022 and my internet is out is not a valid reason, because the internet is, basically available anywhere in the world that you go. So if your apartment internet isn't working or you can't get online, for whatever reason, I expect that you make your best effort to go somewhere where you can access the internet to get onto our class call, just like you would, come to campus and be present in class. But if you have, family emergency or something like that, I do recognize that family comes first, and we all have lives outside of this. So just communication is the main thing, right? I can't not hear from you for the whole semester, and then you send me this, you know, montage of reasons why you weren't able to be participative in the class after the fact. So just keep the lines of communication open with me and let me know what's going on with you, especially if you start to get behind in your work. I know for some people, this might be your first experience in managing kind of the asynchronous piece of the online class. It can be challenging for folks. And so if you feel like you're starting to get overwhelmed or get behind, please connect with me. I'm happy to sit down with you in an individual way and kind of help you get caught up, help you get your legs back under you. But again, if you wait until the end of the semester, it's really difficult to go back and kind of catch up from that. So you get 2. Beyond that, I need to hear from you. Okay. All right. Really quickly about assignments. This doesn't really apply to this class. If you have, these are all just standard university policies, but I wanted to take a minute to say, if you need accommodations or you have an accommodation plan in place, please make sure that you send me kind of a follow-up email. I will get those from ODS, but it's always good, I think, to have a conversation if you have specific needs, especially related to accessing class content. So please reach out to me. I'm happy to have a one-on-one conversation. And even maybe if you don't need, you know, specific university accommodations, but you feel like there's something that I could do or you could do that would help you to be more successful in this course, I'm always available for that conversation. Okay, with all of that said, I would like to talk for a few minutes about the written reflections. Let me find. Well, okay. So I think I'm noticing that the written reflection assignment 1, oh good, nope, it's all together. Cool. All right. Okay, so this is still hidden on your As You Learn page. I'll make it visible as soon as we get done. But this is what you need to know about these written reflections. And I'm going to pull up okay, the textbook. I'm going to open the text as well so we can kind of look at this together. My computer is not cooperating, but are you guys seeing the written reflection assignment on my screen? Can I get a thumbs up or a nod? You see this? Okay. All right. So at the midterm, you're going to be responsible for 5 written reflections, and there will be another assignment of 5 written reflections due at the end of our course. Those written reflections are going to be on different topics that sort of tie into what we're talking about in the course. And you will find the specific reading or passage noted here on the page number. Okay, so the first written reflection is going to be on marriage preparation / relationship programs, and that's coming from page 18 in your textbook. Page 18 in your textbook. And I know this is like slow and painful, but I promise you, I get a million questions about these and I don't want to have to go in and answer a million individual questions. So I'm just taking the time to go through it right now. And if I'm boring you to tears, I do apologize, but it's in an effort to keep us all on the same page. My computer is boring me to tears right now because it's taking so long to open things. All right. We're going to be in chapter 1. And there is a quick way to go to page 18 right here in the corner. I'm going to type in 18. Here we go. So do you see this excerpt, this green, blue, teal text box? That is what you read for this written reflection. So the point is, read this. I want a brief summary because I have also read this. So I don't need too much about what it says. I just need you to briefly summarize. And then what I'm interested in is, what are your thoughts and ideas on that topic? Okay. And what I want you to do is tie that to course content. So it's expected that you have citations included in these written reflections. Those citations might be the Knox text. They might also be articles, videos, anything else that we've used in our asynchronous days. Or you might, do a quick Google search and do your own research on something that relates to this topic. That is not expected. You do not have to go find outside sources. I do expect in a university setting, if you are writing about something that is shared in the Knox text, that you cite what you are referring to, because that's how it's done, right? So there should be a citation that says this information was coming from here. I'm not attached to APA or MLA. Well, I am attached to APA, but I understand that not all disciplines are. So if you're more accustomed to MLA and that's how you do your citations, I'm okay with that. I'm flexible. I just want to see that you're noting where you're getting your information from. And the written reflections each need to be about 1 to 2 pages. Okay, so for marriage preparation and relationship programs, that might not be a topic that you are deeply passionate about. And so I'm okay if you just have a quick summary and then share your thoughts. It might be a 1-pager. When we get down to number 3, female genitalia alteration, that might be a topic where you have a little bit more oomph behind it, right? So you might write 2 pages about that. There's some flexibility built in, 1 to 2 pages each. You're going to refer back to the page number, the excerpt on the page number that's listed here. You're going to briefly summarize, and then I want to really hear your thoughts and ideas on these variety of topics. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? All right. So again, I will get this posted with a link at the top of the course page where you will post and submit those once you're done with them. They will be due again at midterm and basically at the final. So, and if you noted on the syllabus, so I sent you a link to the mobile syllabus. It's just a really brief, kind of a quick and dirty look at the class. The actual syllabus that has all the nitty-gritty is posted to the course page. And if you scroll down to the class calendar, I have tried to give you kind of a heads up in terms of reflection 1 should be starting sometime next week. If you want to keep these from being an overwhelming assignment that you have to do at the midterm where you're writing a 10-page paper, you would want to kind of do it in this progression. And again, they kind of relate to the conversations that we'll be having in class in terms of our topics and themes. So follow along with this, and that will help you stay kind of on track. I have also tried to note when we will have synchronous and asynchronous meetings. I don't expect that to change very often, but I'll draw your attention to week 8 because you have an exam scheduled for Wednesday. So we will have our class meeting on Monday that week. They're few and far between. Largely we'll meet on Wednesdays, but don't complete, like if you have a job, don't tell them that you're able to work on Mondays at 2 p.m. because there may be times when you have class. So in your mind, keep this class as Mondays and Wednesdays at 2 o'clock with the understanding that mostly we won't be here on Mondays. Any questions or concerns? Okay. So I think that I have pretty much gone over everything that I wanted you to know before we really hit the ground running. And because I've given you the content for the rest of this class, for the rest of this week, I'm going to let you do that in your own time. And then again, remember that, so I'm going to go back to week 2. You have some asynchronous content that you'll need to be working on kind of before and after, or whatever format works for you. But this is for week 2 with the expectation that it's done by Sunday, the 3rd of September, right? And then I think we'll get into a flow where this makes more sense and you're kind of more used to it. But that is what you need to do. So read chapter 1, review the lecture on choices and relationships, take some good notes, and then start to work on your asynchronous content for week 2. And I will see you back here on August 31st in the Zoom format. Okay. All right. I'm going to sit on for just a few minutes in case anybody wants to stay and chat or ask a question. Otherwise, you're free to go. Make sure I have your name in the chat. Thank you so much. I hope your weeks all get off to a great start. And I'll see you soon.